Welcome to Humanity Rising. My name is Stefan. I'll be your narrator today, but before we get started with the video, let me ask to see if you're subscribed. Real quick, if you're not, it's fine, but it's free and it will let you know whenever we post new videos. Thank you. Before listening to the story, please subscribe to my channel. Let's go. The chamber lights dimmed as the Concord Council rose in unison. A hush fell over the hall, not the ordinary silence of diplomacy, but the kind that smothered. Captain Mara Valen sat rigid in her seat, uniform pressed, posture calculated, every breath measured. The weight of hundreds of eyes pressed down, alien irises unblinking, reflecting the sterile glow of the council spire. This was not diplomacy. This was a trial. A thin, translucent hollow spread before her, text scrolling in alien glyphs she had trained years to decipher. Evidence of aggression. Human violations. Unprovoked acts. Words spun into a narrative she knew her people had not authored. At the center of it all sat High Executor Zorath Kesh, draped in shimmering crimson scales that caught the light with every subtle movement. He never looked at the hollow. His gaze remained fixed on her, as though the outcome had already been written. Captain Valen. Zorath's voice slid across the chamber, rich and deliberate. The Concord has gathered evidence of human interference in neutral sectors. Mining colonies raided. Convoys burned. Do you deny these reports? Mara leaned forward, folding her hands together. Her training screamed for restraint. She measured each word like a blade across a whetstone. I deny that my people were involved. Humanity has honored the Concord treaties since the day we joined. The colonies you speak of lie months beyond our reach. To accuse us without proof is beneath this council. A ripple passed through the chamber. Some delegates glanced at one another, uncertain. Others leaned closer, scenting blood. Zorath smiled faintly, exposing jagged teeth. And yet, the debris fields contain human alloy. The attackers used human engine signatures. Curious, don't you agree? Mara's jaw tightened. The trap was elegant. Fabricated evidence could always be produced, and once seeded into the Concord's records, truth mattered little. She inhaled slowly, letting the silence hang. Engine signatures can be forged. Hull plating can be stolen. You know this, Executor. The counselor from the Vari Collective, a spindly being with translucent skin, raised a trembling hand. For centuries, we have tolerated whispers of humans as dangerous. Deathwelders, they call you. We dismiss such tales. But now, he gestured toward the hollow. Now we must ask if those legends were warnings, not exaggerations. There it was. The word. Deathwelder. Spoken aloud, it crawled through the chamber like a living thing, dredging old myths best left buried. Mara's throat tightened, though her expression remained carved from stone. She wanted to laugh at the irony. For centuries, humans had bent themselves into shapes acceptable to the Concord: engineers, healers, negotiators. They had hidden the sharp edges, buried their history of wars so brutal no alien mind could comprehend them. They had masked the predator with smiles and treaties. And still, the legends stalked them. Zorath pressed a moment. Perhaps, Captain, it is time the Concord stopped tolerating pretenders. Perhaps humanity is what the old records warned us of. Savages playing at civility. Mara met his gaze squarely. And perhaps, Executor, it is time you stopped mistaking restraint for weakness. The chamber stirred. A few delegates bristled, others whispered furiously. Zorath's smile widened, as though she had stepped exactly where he wanted her. We will deliberate, he said smoothly. Until then, Captain, your ship remains under Concord observation. Do not stray. The gavel struck. The session ended. But the trial had only begun. Back aboard Iron Reprieve, Mara walked the corridors in silence, the hum of the reactor filling the air like a heartbeat. Her crew straightened as she passed. Engineers with oil-stained sleeves, officers with tired eyes, each one loyal enough to follow her into the void. They had heard rumors, of course, accusations of human aggression spreading like wildfire through Concord channels. Fear clung to the air, unspoken but heavy. Lieutenant Juno, her second-in-command, caught up to her outside the command deck. Short, broad-shouldered, eyes sharp as obsidian. "They're setting us up," Juno muttered under her breath. "Those wrecks they're waving around? No chance they're ours. Too clean. Too convenient." Mara keyed the deck doors, voice low. "Zoratha's building a cage. He wants us inside it before we realize the bars are closing." "And when he shuts it?" Juno asked. Mara paused at the threshold, staring out at Concordia Prime hanging beyond the viewport, its golden spires glinting like a predator's teeth. "Then we stop playing their game." On the command deck, reports streamed in, supply delays, sudden inspections, odd ships shadowing their course. Subtle pressure, the kind that squeezed tighter each hour. The crew worked quietly, efficient, unflinching. Mara noted their calm with pride. Other species panicked under pressure. Humans endured. They always had. A calm ping broke the silence. Officer Larrick, their comm specialist, frowned. "Captain, incoming burst from the outer perimeter. Automated patrol reports strange activity." Mara's brow furrowed. "Define strange." Larrick hesitated, replaying the grainy data. A formation of ships, angular, bristling with weapons, moving where no fleet should be. Their hull signatures flickered human, but the designs were wrong. Off by just enough to fool those who wanted to be fooled. Juno's face hardened. "Those aren't ours. But if the Concord sees them first, they'll believe exactly what Zorath wants," Mara finished. She stood straighter, a cold edge settling into her veins. This was no longer politics. This was war by another name. Outside the viewport, Concordia Prime glowed serene and beautiful, masking the poison brewing in its heart. Humanity had been patient, bending for centuries, hiding teeth behind smiles. But Mara felt it then, rising like a tide she could no longer suppress, the truth clawing at its cage. The alarm klaxons blared. The iron reprieve shuddered violently, shields flaring as a volley of energy fire raked across the hull. Red light washed the deck, and voices crackled over the comm. "Unidentified vessels engaging us." Mara gripped the command chair. Her crew turned to her, waiting for the order that could no longer be delayed. Her voice cut through the chaos, steady and sharp. "Battle stations. No more masks. If they want Deathworlders." She locked eyes with Juno, fire flashing in her gaze. "Then they'll damn well see them." The deck roared to life. And for the first time in centuries, humanity prepared to stop hiding. The iron reprieve lurched again as plasma tore across her shields. The deck lights dimmed, then steadied, humming back with stubborn defiance. Alarms echoed through the corridors. Mara braced against the command chair, eyes locked on the tactical display. Red icons bloomed across the perimeter, 5 ships, angular and lean, their silhouettes deliberately human but carrying lines no Terran shipwright had ever drawn. "Contacts closing fast," Juno reported, voice clipped but steady. "They're broadcasting human signatures. Concord patrols will eat that up." "They're not ours," Mara said flatly, loud enough for the entire deck. She wanted her crew to hear the conviction in her tone. Lies only took root if doubt crept in. "Weapons free. Defensive fire. We show them restraint, but not weakness." The ship shuddered as cannons roared to life. Turrets spat fire, brilliant lances of energy cutting across the void. One hostile peeled away under the barrage, venting atmosphere in a spray of frozen mist. The others tightened formation, pressing harder. Larrick cursed under his breath at the comms station. "They're broadcasting on Concord channels, claiming we opened fire first." Of course they were. Zoratha's script unfolding, line by line. Mara's teeth clenched, but her voice never wavered. "Record everything. Transmit logs to every neutral relay in range. If the Concord wants truth, they'll have it. And if they don't?" Juno asked quietly. Mara didn't answer. Her silence was enough. The battle raged in bursts, frenzied exchanges followed by eerie lulls, predators circling prey. The iron reprieve was smaller, but she had teeth, and her crew fought like no alien navy ever had. Where other species relied on doctrine and rigid formation, humans thrived in chaos. Engineers rerouted power around failing conduits before systems collapsed. Gunners switched targeting algorithms mid-volley, exploiting weaknesses within seconds. No one froze. No one panicked. Juno grinned savagely as another enemy hull split open under precise fire. They thought we'd break. They don't understand us at all. Before Mara could reply, a voice cut through the internal channel, harsh, mocking, dripping with satisfaction. Impressive. For pretenders. The bridge froze. The voice didn't come from outside. It came from inside. Mara's pulse spiked. Trace it, she snapped. Larek's fingers danced across the console. His face blanched. It's originating from Deck 12. Cargo Bay. A saboteur. Juno with me, Mara ordered, rising from the chair. She left the deck to the helmsman, her stride sharp, controlled. Every instinct screamed for speed, but she forced herself to move with authority. Panic was contagious, so was resolve. Deck 12 stank of scorched wiring. Emergency lights pulsed crimson across rows of sealed containers. Shadows stretched long, broken by the flicker of failing lamps. Mara's boots rang against the plating as she advanced, sidearm drawn, Juno covering her flank. The voice came again, louder now, echoing from the comm array wired into the bay. You play at peace. You hide claws behind silk. But cages never hold forever, do they, Captain? A figure stepped from the shadows, an alien frame draped in stolen human uniform. Skin mottled gray-blue, eyes reflective as glass. A Concord infiltrator, surgically altered to mimic human physiology from a distance. The false officer smiled thinly, holding a detonator wired to the comm junction. Juno raised her rifle. Drop it. The infiltrator tilted his head, unbothered. Why hide what you are? The galaxy already knows. We merely gave them a little push. His gaze locked on Mara. Your people are predators. It is only a matter of time before you show it. Mara leveled her weapon, steady as stone. You don't know humanity. You know shadows and stories. That's not the same. The alien laughed softly. Then prove me wrong. Kill me. Show your crew the truth you're so desperate to bury. For a heartbeat, silence stretched taut. Juno's finger twitched near the trigger. Mara's jaw clenched. Then she lowered her weapon slightly, not out of mercy, but calculation. You're not worth a bullet. She nodded to Juno. A stun round cracked, dropping the infiltrator where he stood. The detonator clattered harmlessly across the deck. Mara stepped forward, boot grinding it into the plating. Secure him, she ordered. And patch me through to the bridge. Back on the command deck, her image filled the hollow for every crew member to see. We have confirmation, Concord infiltrators aboard. This is not a misunderstanding. It's sabotage. Someone wants a war, and they want us to be the villains. I won't allow that. We fight, but we hold the line. No civilian targets. No blind fury. If they call us Deathworlders, let them learn what that truly means. The crew responded with clipped affirmatives, steady and unshaken. Mara felt the swell of pride she didn't dare show. They were predators, yes, but disciplined ones. That discipline would be the blade's edge. Hours blurred into running battles. The hostile ships pressed harder, forcing iron reprieve into brutal evasive maneuvers. Bulkheads groaned, lights flickered, but the crew adapted with relentless focus. Where another navy might collapse, humanity bent without breaking. At last, the enemy ships pulled back, engines flaring as they vanished into the void. Not retreating, simply finished with their performance. Enough blood spilled to stain the records, enough damage logged to feed the narrative. Silence settled over the bridge, broken only by the hiss of damaged conduits. Juno exhaled, rolling her shoulders. They'll twist this into proof. No matter what logs we send. Mara sank into the chair, staring at the tactical map where hostile contacts had dissolved. She felt the cage tightening, link by link. Zortha's game was almost complete. Then the comms lit. A Concord broadcast, urgent and absolute. Attention all vessels. By order of the Council, Earth is hereby placed under immediate quarantine. All human ships are to stand down and submit to Concord authority pending investigation. Failure to comply will be met with force. The words dropped like a hammer. The bridge went still. Every pair of eyes turned to Mara. She rose slowly, shoulders squared, voice carrying iron. Transmit my reply. Larek hesitated. Captain. Now. The channel opened, her words echoing across the void. This is Captain Mara Valen of the Iron Reprieve. Humanity will not bow to lies. We will not surrender. If you want our chains, you'll have to come and take them. She cut the channel, her gaze sweeping her crew. Not one face wavered. The mask was cracking. And once it shattered, there would be no going back. The Council's decree echoed through the void, bouncing across relays, amplified until every listening post in the sector carried it. Earth quarantined. Humanity branded suspect. Submission demanded. On the Iron Reprieve's bridge, the words hung like smoke. Then, almost imperceptibly, something shifted. Not fear. Not despair. A tightening. A focus. Humanity had been shoved into a corner, and corners were where predators bared their teeth. Mara Valen stood tall, voice steady. Status report. Shields at 61%. Juno replied without hesitation. Hull breach is sealed. Weapons stable. Engines holding. Enemy ships? Larek's hands flew across the comms board. No direct contacts. But Concord patrols are converging from 3 vectors. They'll intercept within the hour. They'll expect compliance. Juno muttered. They'll expect us to lie down. Mara's lips curved into the faintest shadow of a smile. Then it's time to remind them what we are. The next 40 minutes unfolded in tense, controlled fury. Engineers stripped redundant systems to reinforce shields. Gunners calibrated firing solutions in silence, fingers twitching with anticipation. Navigation mapped routes no Concord strategist would ever consider, through debris clouds, gravitational eddies, storm-ridden orbits. Other species avoided chaos. Humans hunted in it. Mara paced the bridge, eyes locked on the star map, the predator's patience coiled in her chest. Every instinct screamed that surrender meant extinction. Restraint had bought humanity centuries of peace. But now that mask had been shattered, the galaxy would see the face beneath. Contacts inbound, Larek reported. His voice sharpened. 4 Concord patrol cruisers. They're spreading wide, hurting us. Mara's eyes narrowed. Open a channel. Zortha's face flickered onto the hollow, serpentine, smug, scales gleaming in the council chamber's light. Captain Valen, he purred. You defy the will of the Concord. Dangerous choice. Mara's voice cut like a blade. You staged the attacks. You planted infiltrators. This entire cage is yours. Zortha's grin never faltered. And what will you do about it? Burn the bars? Scratch at them with those Death World claws you hide so carefully? Go on, Captain. Prove me right. The channel snapped dead. Silence stretched for a breath, then Juno spoke. Orders? Mara turned to her crew, eyes blazing. They want us to show them monsters. We'll show them humans instead. Target their lead cruiser. Adaptive fire sequence. Hard and fast. Roger that, the gunnery chief growled. The Iron Reprieve lunged forward, engines flaring like a hunting beast's charge. The Concord cruisers fired first, measured, precise volleys meant to cripple, not destroy. But Mara didn't fight by their rules. Switch vectors, she barked. The ship dove into a spiral, twisting through the incoming fire with impossible timing. Plasma ripped past their hull, missing by meters. The helmsman laughed under his breath, exhilarated, every adjustment sharper than instinct. Return fire, Mara ordered. Turrets blazed, shots striking in unpredictable rhythms. No alien algorithm could predict human chaos. The lead cruiser's shields buckled under a storm of shifting salvos, collapsing in less than a minute. Juno slammed a fist against the console. "We've got them!" But Mara wasn't done. "Push closer. Board them." Heads whipped toward her. Boarding in open combat was madness. No alien navy dared it. But humanity had thrived on madness. The iron reprieve rammed into the weakened cruiser's flank, mag clamps biting into armor. Grappling tubes shot forward, locking steel to steel. "Boarding teams, go!" Mara commanded. The corridors of the Concorde cruiser became a war zone. Human marines surged through, armor scorched, weapons roaring. Where alien soldiers advanced in lines, humans fought like wolves, darting, feinting, striking from impossible angles. Juno led the first squad, voice crackling through comms. "They're crumbling. They've never trained for this." Mara moved with the second wave, pistol in hand. Every step echoed with memory, the history her people had buried under treaties. Humans had not forgotten how to fight. They had chosen not to. Until now. An alien officer stumbled from a side corridor, weapon shaking. His eyes widened as Mara leveled her pistol. You're not supposed to fight like this." Her shot dropped him clean. "You should have left us alone." Within minutes, the cruiser's command deck fell. Concorde officers huddled, weapons discarded, disbelief etched across their features. They had studied humans as negotiators, scientists, polite diplomats. Nothing had prepared them for predators in uniform. Mara strode to the command chair, dragging the alien captain upright by his crest. "Transmit this," she ordered. The comms officer obeyed, hand trembling. Her voice carried across every Concorde frequency, echoing in halls where delegates sat stunned. "We tried peace. We tried restraint. You called it weakness. You wanted to see what lies beneath our masks. Now you will. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not break. If you want a war," she shoved the captain aside, pistol smoking, "then you've just started one." She cut the transmission. Silence followed, heavy and electric. Back aboard the Iron Reprieve, her crew worked with grim determination. They stripped the captured cruiser for intelligence, planting charges before disengaging. As the clamps released and the ships drifted apart, the cruiser erupted in a bloom of fire, fragments scattering into the void. The bridge lights flickered under the shockwave. Juno looked at Mara, expression fierce. "The Council won't forgive this." "They were never going to," Mara replied. She stared at the debris field, the fire reflected in her eyes. "At least now they'll remember why the legends existed." The words hung in the air like prophecy. For centuries, humanity had been the galaxy's rumor, its cautionary tale. But tonight, in the ruins of a Concorde warship, those whispers became truth again. The Predator had stopped pretending to be tame. The debris of the Concorde cruiser still burned when the next wave arrived. Dozens of ships surged from the black, their formation a wall of steel and fire. Carriers. Destroyers. A fleet large enough to smother a star. On the Iron Reprieve's bridge, the air was taut, heavy with the knowledge of what was coming. Every crew member knew there would be no negotiation, no retreat. The Council had made its decision. "They'll overwhelm us in minutes," Juno said quietly, scanning the tactical map. Mara's gaze was fixed on the viewport, watching the enemy line expand like a noose tightening. Her voice carried calm authority. "Then minutes are enough." The first barrage came like a storm. Plasma and rail slugs lit the void, converging on the Iron Reprieve. Shields screamed under the impact, sparks showering the deck. The crew held fast, teeth clenched, eyes burning with determination. Mara barked orders, each one precise, cutting through the chaos. "Evasive Zig-27. Reroute auxiliary to dorsal shield. Return fire in staggered bursts. Make them think we're crippled." The ship twisted, skimming death by meters. Volleys returned, not elegant, not calculated, but brutal, unpredictable. Alien formations faltered, confused by human irregularity. Yet numbers told the truth. The fleet was closing, pressing tighter, preparing for the kill. Juno slammed her fist against the console. "We can't keep this up." Mara's lips pressed in. "We won't." She turned to her crew, her voice low but carrying to every ear. We've hidden who we are for too long. They think they know us. They don't. Tonight we stop pretending. The crew fell silent, eyes locked on her. They knew what she meant. No more restraint. No more disguises. Humanity would fight as it was born to, on the edge of extinction, with nothing to lose. Mara leaned over the tactical display. We strike their command ship. Cut off the head, scatter the fleet. That's suicide, Larek muttered. That's human, Juno countered, already keying in attack vectors. Mara nodded once. Exactly. The Iron Reprieve roared forward, engines screaming as they pushed into overdrive. The Concord fleet closed ranks, weapons flashing, but Mara's ship slipped through gaps like a predator weaving through prey. Target the command ship, she ordered. Cannons fired, torpedoes streaked. Explosions bloomed across enemy shields. The command vessel reeled but held. Return fire hammered them, tearing through armor. Warning klaxons blared, bulkheads groaned, but the Iron Reprieve refused to die. Boarding teams ready? Mara asked. Juno's grin was feral. Locked and loaded. They slammed into the command ship's hull, clamps screeching against alien plating. Grapples dug in. The boarding tubes extended, and once again, humans charged into the unknown. The corridors erupted in violence. Concord soldiers fought in disciplined lines, plasma rifles spitting deadly light. But the humans were something else entirely, fast, ruthless, adaptive. Every wall, every bulkhead became cover, every weakness exploited in seconds. Mara led from the front, pistol in hand, eyes sharp, every shot precise. Juno's rifle thundered beside her, cutting down resistance in brutal bursts. The human war cry echoed through the alien ship, raw, primal, unstoppable. The command deck doors loomed ahead. Explosives planted, charges blew, and smoke swallowed the chamber. Mara stepped through the haze, weapon raised. There he was. Zorath Kesh, High Executor, the architect of this cage. His scales gleamed in the light of shattered consoles, eyes wide with something Mara had waited to see. Not arrogance. Not calculation. Fear. You. His voice faltered, then steadied. You weren't supposed to awaken. Mara leveled her pistol at his chest. You should have left us sleeping. Around them, his guards fell one by one, human marines cutting through with relentless precision. Zora stumbled back, cornered at his own command chair. His words came rushed now, desperate. You don't understand. Humanity is chaos. If you rise, the galaxy burns. I was trying to prevent. Mara's eyes narrowed. You were trying to chain us before we remembered what we are. The silence stretched. One squeeze of the trigger, and it would end. The war, the lies, the cage, all in a flash. But Mara lowered the weapon. Slowly. Deliberately. Zorath froze, stunned. You'll live, she said coldly. Not because I forgive you. Because I want you to tell them. Every counselor. Every delegate. Every species that thought humans were tamed. Tell them what happens when you corner a Deathworlder. She turned, her voice ringing through the chamber. Detonate the charges. We're leaving. Back aboard the Iron Reprieve, they disengaged as explosions ripped through the Concord command ship. Fire consumed its decks, the massive vessel breaking apart in a cascade of debris. The fleet faltered, leaderless, hesitation rippling through their ranks. The Iron Reprieve limped away, scarred but unbroken, engines blazing toward the void. On the bridge, silence hung heavy. The crew looked to Mara, waiting for the words that would mark this night in history. She stood tall, every inch the predator unveiled. For centuries we bent, we bowed, we hid. No longer. Let the galaxy remember, humanity is awake. And we will never kneel again. News spread faster than fire. Across systems, across stations, across every listening post, whispers grew into certainty. The legends were true. The Deathworlders had stopped hiding. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy remembered what fear tasted like.